Assalamu alaikum students. I'm a teacher from Ilma Online Academy. So in the previous lecture, we have discussed about the fractions and some of the forms that are basically related to the fractions. So I told you that there are basically three forms of fractions that we can deal with. One is basically the proper fraction, in which your numerator number is less than that of the denominator number. Similarly, 1 by 3, this is also the proper fraction. Okay, if we are going to talk about the improper fraction, in improper fraction, your numerator would be greater than that of the denominator. Like for example, if I'm having 45 by 23. Okay, this kind of fraction is basically the improper fraction. And third one, we discussed about the mixed fraction, in which we have the two parts, like one is the whole number part and one is simple proper fraction part. So accordingly, we have three different forms of fractions. Now, in the previous one exercise, we discussed that how we can add, subtract, multiply, or divide some of the fractions. Accordingly, we are going to discuss today that how the fractions can be converted into decimals and decimals into fractions. Both conversions are possible side by side. Like if you want to convert the fractions into decimals, you can convert, or decimals into fractions, you can also do that. Basically, decimals are simply the fractional parts. Like they gave us over here as well the information like this, that the decimal is simply a fraction expressed in tens, hundreds, and so on, like then thousands and this and that. Because if we are going to talk about the decimals, for example, if I have 3.253. So after decimal point, we are going to talk about these numbers and we are going to take them according to hundreds, thousands, like this, okay? Tens, hundreds, thousands, okay? So this is basically the whole number part and this is the decimal part. So if you want to convert the fractions into decimals, or decimals are being given and you want to change them into fractions, so we are going to discuss this thing in this exercise. So let's start exercise 1.1D. In this, they're saying that from question number 1 up to question number 24, we need to change the fractions into decimals. So each and every fraction that they gave, we will change these fractions into decimals. Sometimes this can be possible, like we can change the fraction into decimal by just making the denominator as 100,000. In this way, it's easy for us to change the fraction directly into decimal. Otherwise, if there isn't any possibility to make hundreds, thousand in the denominator, just like I have this 2 by 7, so 7 can't be changed into hundreds, tens, or thousands. So that's why we can do the division for these kind of fractions. Okay, so let's start. So one by one, you will be understood like how you are going to deal with these type of fractions. So first fraction is 1 by 4. So as I have 1 by 4, this fraction I need to change into decimal. So I can multiply the 4 by 25. In the numerator as well, you need to multiply, and in the denominator as well, you will multiply. Okay, so if I'm going to multiply 25 by 4, I'm going to get 100 in the denominator. So this is the reason that why I'm just doing this multiplication. As I got the 100, now my fraction is going to be changed into the decimal easily. Like I can write it as 0.25. Okay, what 100 is showing that after decimal point, you need to have two numbers. So already I have the two numbers, so I made them as after the decimal 0.25. Okay. For example, if I will be having 25 by 10, so I'm going to write it as 2.5 like this. Okay, so in this way, 10 is basically showing that after decimal point, you need to have only one number. So accordingly, you can convert them. This is your part number 1. Next, for the second one part, they gave us 2 by 5. So for the 2 by 5, again, like if you want to change it into decimal, I can easily convert this 5 into hundreds or tens or thousand. So you need to choose the basically the smallest number in which you can convert in. Like for example, if I have 5, so I can go with 5 2 times 10 and it will be very easy. So 2 times 4, 5 2 times 10. So what I can write 0.4. So this is the best way to change the fraction into decimal. But sometimes if the conversions are not possible, then what we will do, so accordingly as well, I will let you know. This one, third one, fourth one, it's fifth one. Like these all fractions are very easily to transform into these decimals. Like here you need to times by 2, times by 25, times by 5. In this way you can just go on, okay? Next, here they give us 3 by 8. So let's see if we can convert it directly into the decimal form or not. So accordingly, we will check. Here as well, we need to check that either we can change this denominator into hundreds, thousands, like this. So here, this 8 can be multiplied by 125 in the numerator and in the denominator as well. I will let you know the long division as well, in which you can change. Otherwise, you can use this method. So 125 three times would be 375. And if I'm going to multiply 125 by 8, I'm going to get 1000. So according to 1000, we need to have three numbers after the decimal point. So we can write 0.375. Like these are already three numbers in the numerator. So after decimal point, we are going to write down all these three numbers. So this is the part number 6 one. So this one as well is easier one. Like we have 10 already. So directly you can write 0.9. For this similar thing you need to do, like you need to times it by 125. For very small numbers, you can easily make up your mind that which number you need to choose to multiply them, like just the way I'm telling you some factors that you can use to change them into hundreds, thousand, and like this. Okay. So ninth one part is 5 by 12. Now for 5 by 12, like here, if your um, possibility is not there to change it into hundreds, thousands. So what you can do the long division, in which you can write the 5 inside and 12 you can write outside to multiply it, or sorry, to divide it and change it into decimal directly. So for that, 5 is basically the smaller number and 12 is the greater number. So what you can do, you can use the decimal point to make up a 0 over here. And now we can go with 12, 4 times 48. So 50 negative 48, it would be 2. Then again, one more decimal point we can use. And after using this decimal point, we can go with 12, 1 times 12. And we are going to have 8 after that. Then after that, again, one more 0 we need to apply because of this 8 is very small number. Then after that, we need to use again to multiply 12 by any number to get the number that would be smaller than that of this 80. So we can go with 8 times. No, it would be better to go with 6 times 72. Okay, so the number that it's like keep on going. So it would be better if you will go with up to 3 decimal place or 2 decimal place, because here they haven't specified that up to which you need to tell them, because some of the numbers or some of the fractions are quite the recurring one, or so you can go with 0.42, like you can round it off as well. So this will be your decimal number. So in this way you can change the decimal numbers as well into the fractional part, but that I will show you from 25th to 40th one. Next, as we have 1 by 6, so similar thing you need to do over here as well. 1 by 6, 6, if you can't convert according to 100,000 directly, so you can go with the long division again. Keep your 1 inside and divide it by 6. So again, using the decimal point over here, because 1 is smaller than that of 6, so then it's becoming 10. So 6 1 times 6 we can go first of all. 10 negative 6 would be 4, using one more 0. 6 times 36 we can go. And it will be keep on going with a similar number again and again. 36 and so on. So for this again you can round it off 0.17. Okay, so this is a way to convert the fractional part into the decimal numbers. Next, similarly, they gave us the part 11. They gave us 2 by 3. So 3 again is not this is not going to be converted into 10 or hundreds or thousands. So accordingly, you will go with the long division again. So 2 by 3. So 3 you can just keep it outside, and 2 you can write inside. So accordingly, we can divide it. So again, we need to apply the 0 because the number is quite smaller. So 3 6 times we can go with 18, and then again 0, and that will be again keep on going. So these kind of fractions where you after the decimal number or decimal point, your numbers are quite similar, and they are just keep on coming again and again, the similar numbers I'm talking about. So these fractions are basically called the recurring fractions. Like again, I'm going to have 18, then again, I'm going to have 20, and then again, I'm going to have 18 and keep on going. So these kind of fractions where your decimal, after the decimal point, your numbers are quite similar and they are coming again and again. So these fractions are basically called the recurring fractions, okay? Or recurring decimals. So you can show the recurring decimals like this as well, like a dot at the top. Sometimes students use the bar at the top as well, so that is also fine. But mostly we are going to go on with the dot at the top. Okay, so 0.6, what this dot is showing that 6 is quite repeated. Otherwise, if you don't want to show like that, so you for this kind of question in which you are getting this, so you can round it off up to 2 decimal place by writing 0.67. So this is your part number 11. So randomly, I'm going to pick some of the questions just to show you that how we are going to deal with these type of uh, fractions. Here as well, it's 2 by 7, 3 by 7, 4 by 9, 5 by 11. These all needs to be go on with the long division. Accordingly, we can check. Like for example, if I will show you 16th one again. So for 16th one, I'm having 5 by 11. So again, we need to keep 5 inside. With 11, we can divide it. So line 1 0. 11 4 times would be 44. Then we can make 6 down because taking carry it would be 10. 10 negative 4 would be 6. Then again applying 1 0. Again with the 5 we can go with 55. So we would be having 5. Then applying one more 0. With 4 we can go. And this will be again keep on going with similar number. Okay, like numbers are repeated in this way like 4 5 4 5 4 5. So accordingly, we can write it down that the number will be 0.45 like this. Otherwise, if you want to show it according to recurring decimal, then how you will write? You will write it as 0.45, and at the top of the 45, you can show two dots. So this is basically showing the recurring decimal or recurring fraction. So accordingly, you can convert it. Right now, they are not asking, so that's why I'm just skipping this one part, and we are just showing the answer into a decimal number like this. Next, from 17th and onward, they gave some mixed fractions. So firstly, we will convert these mixed fractions into the improper fractions, and then you can go with the changing of the fraction into any of the part. One is this method and one is another method as well. We will just use one method over here. So we have 1 into 1 by 5. Firstly, to convert it into the improper fraction, 5 1 times 5 plus 1 would be 6 by 5. So to convert it into decimal number, we have 5 in the denominator. So with 2, we can go. 5 2 times 10, and it would be 1.2. Because of 10, I need to go only one number after the decimal point. Similarly, 8 we have over here, so you can times it by 125. Let's go with 19th one. We have 2 into 1 by 3. So 2 3 times would be 6. And 6 plus 1 would be 7 by 3. So for this, we need to go with the long division again. So 3 1 times 3. Then, wait, we can go with the bigger number as well. 3 2 times 6. Using a decimal point again, and making 1 0, 3 3 times 9. Again 1 0 and 3 3 times 9, and this will be keep on going. So your decimal number is 0.3 and 3 would be the recurring decimal. Okay, so in this way, we can just convert the numbers into decimal numbers. Okay. Let's move towards the next question, 21. Okay, randomly I'm picking the questions so you can try some of them. So it will better tell you that how you need to go with these kind of questions. So we have 2 into 3 by 16. So firstly, if I will multiply 16 by 2, it would be 32. And in 32, if I'm going to add 3, this would be 35. So 35 by 16. So now we need to convert this number into a decimal number. Accordingly, we are going to keep this 35 inside and 16 would be outside. So 16 2 times 32 would be better. So 5 negative 2 would be 3. Then using a decimal point over here, we can make 1 0. And here 16 2 times would be greater. So 16 1 times 16 we can go. So from 30, if we are going to subtract the 16, so it would be 14. Then again using 1 0 because 14 is smaller. Now the 140 is quite bigger. So we can use a bigger number like 7 or 8. Let's see. So with 8, I'm getting 128. With 9, it's becoming bigger. So now 12 is the remainder. So accordingly, the decimal point that or decimal number that I'm getting is 2.18. Okay, similarly, if 24th one you will see, here already they gave 100 in the denominator. So we have 3 into 19 by 100. So rather than dividing or changing it into improper fraction, we can directly convert it into the decimal form. Like because this is the whole number part as I told you before. And just you need to convert this 19 by 100 into decimal part. So this would be 3.19. So it would be easier for you to convert these type of fractions into the decimal numbers. Okay, so now, students, after this, they gave us from 25th to 40th one. All these are basically the decimal numbers, and we need to convert the decimals into fractions, and then we need to simplify as well if there is any possibility to simplify. So let's go on with the first one part, that is 25th part, and they gave us 0.2. So to change it into the fractional part, we need to write it as 2 by 10. At the place like using this decimal point, you can use 1, and after that, like the numbers that you need to count that how many they gave after the decimal point, accordingly you can apply the 0. Now this can be simplified a bit like to 1 times 2 to 5 times 10. So your answer is 1 by 5. Like you need to simplify as well. Okay. Every time you need to give a simplified form as well. Next, they gave us, let's try 27th. They gave us 0.25. So we need to write 25 by 100 because after decimal point, we have two numbers. Again, we can simplify this one like we have 100 in the denominator and we need to divide it by 25. So 25 4 times is basically 100. Accordingly, we can write 1 by 4. Okay, next 29. We have 0.36. So we can write 36 by 100 again. And to change it or to convert it into a simplest form, we can use the number like 2. Okay. So to 1 times and to 8 times 16, to 5 times 10. Again simplified to 9 times to 25 times. So the number that I'm getting is 9 by 25. This further can't be simplified, so you can just leave it up till over here, 9 by 25. Okay. So they gave us 3 decimal place number as well. So if they gave us 3 decimal place number, just like they gave us 0.125. So to convert it into the fractional part, we are going to write it as 125 by 1000. Because after the decimal point, we have 3 numbers. Okay, so this would be written as 125 by 1000. So if we want to convert this one into the simplest form, we have 125. So we can directly convert it like 125 8 times is basically 1000. So accordingly 1 by 8. This is basically the simplification. After that, 31st, there are some other questions as well that you can try. Let's go on with 34. So in 34, what they gave is 2.35. So if with 2.35 we needs to go, so again we will be writing it as 235. Under that we are going to write down 100. Okay, because after decimal point we have two numbers. So accordingly we need to convert it. So again simplification is possible. So we can go with the simplification as well. Like with 5 we can go. So 5 4 times is 20 and 5 7 times 35. 5 2 times 10 and 0. So the number that I'm having is 47 by 20. Now here one thing is like this fraction that I got is it's an improper fraction. So we need to convert it into mixed fraction. So this is also a compulsory step. So we can go with 22 times 40. So we can write 2 into 7 by 20. As I told you before as well, you need to go in clockwise direction. 2 into 7 by 20. So this is also the one way that you need to use. Okay, let's see that if they give us 1.05. So for this as well, we will be writing as 105 by 100. So again, with the 5, we can go with 5 2 times, 5 1 times, 5 2 times, and 0. So we have 21 by 20. Again, we need to convert it into mixed fraction because we have improper fraction with us. So 21 times would be 20. And accordingly, we can write 1 into 1 by 20. Okay, what if they gave the numbers in this way? As we have 39, we have 0.007. So for this, we will be only taking this one part 7 and downward over here at the place of decimal point, we are going to have 1 and then we are going to have 3 zeros. So this can't be further simplified, so you need to leave it like this. Similarly, with the 40th one, if you will see, we have 0.00011. So for this, 11 would be written upward and downward, we are going to have one decimal point accordingly 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 zeros along with this, like this. So here and here, simplification is further not possible. So we will leave these fractions like this. Okay, then these are proper fractions as well. So this will be written in this way. Okay, students.